What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with a review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, I can't believe I'm saying this. We didn't lose away. I got against Chelsea. How's everyone feeling, man? I feel great. A little bit, I don't know, cheesed off. We're going to get 3 points, but at the end of the day, we got a point. People in the comments, get your thoughts, and I will I'll read them through. If you are new to the channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as well, top of the link as well, the Forest away top to be won as well. As you know, Amanda, she's away Forest top. All the players are signed, so if you do want to win it, it only costs £1. Make sure everyone clicks on this in the description. It's £1 because last time this bloke he won the Navas top. So there he is. Glenn's rubbing it in right now. So if you want to be a Glenn, please
my
like.
style, though.
if you want to win it,
just pointing it out.
if you want to win it, make sure you all do click on the link. It costs £1, and all the money goes for a new defibrillator to a local football team. Right, let's get the guest in. First of all, it's been a long time. No see, Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I'm all right, Ben. Very well, thanks.
Good.
Pleased to get the point. Pleased to be sitting pretty in the league, relatively.
Good.
So far, so good.
He looks in the past. He looks miserable, but he looks happy today. So it's good to see. Next up, we've got the man himself, the Welsh wizard, Steve. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, quite a beat, Ben. Quite happy. I'll have my say soon.
Last but not least, got the man himself, Glenn. He's showing off. Like I said, he's never stopped. How you doing, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not sure about showing off. I just hang it in a frame next up.
It's there. It's just there.
I could move it to next to Yates if you want. I could put it there or whatever. But no, I'm sticking it there. So I'm very well. We were talking before we went on. Yeah, I'm feeling more happy about the point that we got yesterday, and less annoyed about the 2 we lost. But overall, very well. I've had a haircut as well, Steve. I've got to say, I know last time I had a haircut, we had some controversy, didn't we? Had I known I'm not going to say how many minutes to go. Had I known, I wouldn't have had a haircut this afternoon. But there you go. Never mind. Sorry about that. Just pre-warn you.
I'm having a haircut tomorrow, Glenn. So I might join your club. But before we just get the panel, make sure everyone in chat show some love to Glenn, Steve, and Matt, if you can, please. Let's go through the comments before we do start. Paul says, hope you're all well. Forest staying up. I don't think Forest had any luck. What we're doing due to some luck. Long Yeti says, big up Door. Evening Canada, evening Door, evening Steve. Yeah, Glenn came back late injury for the bird test from Canada. So Glenn helped me back post for this one. So I do appreciate for that as well. Danish Red, shout out to the Danish Red as well. Even all more exciting games ahead. Arsenal, the Royal Flemish City ground would be huge. Could we possibly touch the result? That's something that we can talk about later on in the show. Patrick says, good evening. How are you doing? Neil Patrick? He says, good evening, Mr. Dog, Glenn, Stephen, Matt. Hope you're well and happy with joy yesterday. And I believe we can survive relegation. Yes, we can survive relegation after
hopefully.
Exactly. Last one with this one special. Good evening, guys. Hope you're well. More happy with the performance than the point. We played really well. We need a bit of luck. Come on, you Reds. We did. We really did. And Richard says we can get a result. We need it against Arsenal as well. Bloody hell, everyone's confident. As you know, Arsenal lost to Brighton 3-0, people. So more confidence because they've got nothing to play for. So, and that's what D Chapo. Is that good or bad? Arsenal losing to Brighton, we'll beat them, draw with them, Man City title Sunday. Right, let's talk about it. Let me talk to you first, Glenn. Glenn was at the game. What was your thoughts?
I did a post-match, and I was a little bit downbeat in terms of the realization that firstly we hadn't lost, like you said, that we got something out of the game. That the first half we looked very bright. And like you said, Chelsea looked really average. Chelsea looked like there were nothing in it. Second half, obviously those 2 goals in 7 minutes, wasn't it? Made a big difference to the to the complexity of the final third of the game. And over the spell of the 90 or 97 minutes or whatever it was, those 2 minutes of video that I did, I was a little bit kind of flat. I didn't really know what to say. And I was like kind of, I think we've dropped 2 points more than getting one. And, I picked up the program. I've got it here. Now, there's nothing I wanted more, particularly after that first half performance, than to burst their 25th anniversary of their Cup Winners' Cup or whatever it was, party atmosphere, and actually get something out of the game.
Cup Winners' Cup, I think it was.
Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah.
And no doubt we've discussed, and we've discussed this at length about game management and the impact that certain players had. And I know, on that note, Cooper's been very, very clear, hasn't he, about not wanting to blame individuals, and it's a collectiveness, a collective feeling about, we win and lose and make errors as a team, and that no one points any fingers. We could do that tonight. I'm not going to, but over the space of the 90 minutes, we were really good to get those 2 points. And if anything, my overriding feeling is that going in at halftime 1-0 up, dropping 2 goals in the space of 7 minutes, just from them running harder through the ball and really working our defence and midfield, but that much more difficult and capitalising on errors, and that we managed to get another goal back and actually had that resilience and with that strength of character to get that point out of the game. I think that was the overriding feeling for me. Yeah.
Matt, what was your opinion on the game?
Yeah, much the same, really. It was a game we could have won, I felt, beforehand. It was a great opportunity, as was Brentford. Brentford was daft to drop the 2 extra points there, but and it was the same old story, really, wasn't it? That sort of mad sort of 7-10 minutes or whatever, and conceding 2 goals. But really, from not that much, we just went a little bit sort of haywire. But really, over the rest of the game, I thought we controlled most of it. And like I say, it's a difficult one. You'd accept a point. We'd have taken a point before the game, I think. So you can't grumble afterwards. But you do feel like it was kind of two points lost. But having said all that, in the whole context, we're playing properly now. And this is like, I imagine Forest might play at the beginning of the season. When you made those signings, and it was a little bit like craziness, so many signings and all this kind of stuff. You wanted to see Awoniyi playing well. You wanted to see Mangala playing well, Danilo, all this kind of stuff. And now some of them at least are sort of fitting in and looking like they belong, and we've got a kind of coherent team, and we'll give anyone in the league a game, won't we? Especially, at home, we'll give anyone, no one fancy coming to our ground to pick up an easy win. So, we were becoming a competent team around the New Year period. We let it slip and we had some silly results, but I think we're back on track now. So I'm feeling more confident that we've got a destiny in our own hands genuinely, rather than relying on other people. And you feel like you can win every game. And look, we've given away those 2 potential wins away from home in London, but we could have been the team that's won every game at the end of the season and gone from sort of relegation certainties to sort of halfway up the league. And it's only because not standing the wall properly, silly basic stuff, things like that it hasn't really happened. So you've got to be definitely glass half full type vibes about it and be confident going to the next 2 games. But we mustn't relax. We need 2 wins as far as I'm concerned. I know we probably don't in practice, but you just win every game and then you see where that takes you. And hopefully next week will be a potential to get that win.
Before I get Steve, I got super chat from Special. Thank you for the £5 for that. Just want to say that the waste sport was absolutely magnificent. Well done, lads. It was great, wasn't it, Glenn? It was fantastic waste sport yet again.
It was tremendous. Actually, I've got a couple of mates who have come out of the woodwork in the last sort of 18 hours or so, who were in the Chelsea side and were saying that how poor Chelsea was and how delighted, actually surprised they were of how Forest played, and that how in such a fine voice our Forest support was. So yeah, lots of positives from the Chelsea side of my mate and group in London.
Well, yes, best. Thank you. Like I say, thank you for the £5. I much appreciate for that. And like I say, that goes towards my channel. Steve, last but not least, what was your thoughts on the game? Steve, was it a big point or a missed opportunity?
I thought we left a very average, poor Chelsea off the hook. I don't think we won't get a better chance to win at Chelsea, because next year they'd be stronger under Poch once they settle with their team. we left them off the hook. I've never seen such an average, poor Chelsea side. Going with a crowd as well, awful. Like, touching on the crowd, watching it on TV, the Forest fans were so loud. You swear it was at the City ground. You there at the ground. Matt, did you go?
Steve.
No, I was meant to.
Steve, it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking.
Chelsea fans are shocking. Like, even when they scored their first goal, it was just like,
It was. It really was, Steve.
Like,
it really was.
Spoiled, privileged. Like, we've got this arrogance about us. We just clap a goal. It's like pathetic. Like, Forest fans just absolutely showing them up. We deserved to win. By Lampard, what game he was watching, I don't know. Completely deluded. I know they controlled the ball, but we are poor on the ball. But what he said about Chelsea, that what game was he watching? Like, okay, I agree with him that Chelsea were poor in the final third, but we left them off the hook. We let them off the hook. Taiwo absolutely bullied their back line. I thought we were brilliant in the first half. But again, Ben, we getting punished, and we, Sterling came up with two moments of brilliance, really. Well, the second goal anyway. I wouldn't say the first goal was brilliant, but the second goal was a good finish. Felipe kind of dived in. He should have stood up. But other than that, what else did Chelsea do? I feel sorry for that midfielder. Enzo, is it? The one
Enzo.
He kind of stands out. He controls a lot of the ball, but I thought we were comfortable. I thought we should have seen that. Like I said, we let him off hook. I'm just kind of gutted, but I'm happy with the point. I would have taken the point before the game. But to see how poor Chelsea were, I thought they are there for the taking. And can I just say, coming back to the crowd, can you imagine that Lodi strike going in top corner?
Yeah.
That away end would have just erupted. I think the whole stand would have just shocked.
Because it was left of the post and below the bar, it looked like it was in. We were just waiting for that net ball,
honestly,
and it carried on going into the crowd. Gutted.
On TV, I thought that was top bins. I thought that was in. But yeah, just the crowd, just big up to the Forest fans yesterday.
Yeah, shout out to all the Forest fans.
Yeah, great support. Chelsea, you're pathetic.
He is telling the truth, Chelsea fans. You were rubbish.
Terrible.
Yeah, I've got to say it. People, if you are just arrived, please do hit the like button and subscribe. Glenn, first off, I was saying to Des, was we good or Chelsea just poor?
I remember you coming to ask us that.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit of both, actually. I think we managed in midfield particularly to get a lot of a handle on the game. We looked really bright going forward again, and we made some really good in-strides in terms of holding on to possession a lot more. I think Yates and Nikate and Gibbs-White were doing, I think, actually a lot more of what they did just prior to Southampton's first goal on Monday night, where they were trying just to pass the ball around amongst themselves in that midfield, just to the left of the centre circle, and actually making some really good headway in terms of the running off the ball. We were a lot less static in that first half and looked really, really bright on the ball. Taiwo's obviously taking his opportunities, and that first time cross and the timing of that cross from Lodi for the first goal was absolutely critical in terms of not giving the back two, I forget who they are, from Chelsea, the opportunity to stand up. The keeper came out and flapped at it, which didn't help, I don't think. But the timing and the way that we played really bright in that first half, and arguably could have gone in 2-0 up, but no, really, really positive first half. And I think you're absolutely right. Or, a lot of like what the geezer was saying on Friday night. Was it the Chelsea fan?
Yeah.
Chelsea just play across and just play parallel with the goal line and just trying to look in, obviously with Conor Gallagher and others trying to poke the ball through, and didn't really have a lot to do in that first half. Defensively, though, positives coming out of that. Felipe and Worrell, absolutely outstanding. Just set piece. The issue I had with going into that was obviously looking at how they played and bullied Bournemouth the week before, and a lot of their possession was coming for that. Bournemouth, I watched the highlights actually. Bournemouth looked the better team.
They did in
that game, and the only difference was the set piece play, and that was my concern. Obviously, after Southampton on Monday night, that we would we would get pelted from corners and free kicks, and they did their best to try and win as many of them when they weren't, perhaps in that first half. But actually, the confidence I got going into that second half, as a result of the defensive performance, the midfield threat and brightness, and Taiwo's goal, and the way we were moving the ball forward from both sides of the pitch, actually, it was one of the best first halves of any game I've seen for a good number of months. We looked like we were really, despite Chelsea being poor, we looked really bright, and I was really confident going to the second half. Obviously, it lasted about 7 minutes, didn't it?
7 minutes.
But,
yeah.
First half, very positive. We need more of them, for sure.
Before I get Matt, I was just going for the comments, and this is from Kristen. Watching from North Carolina, I have tonsillitis, so please cheer me up. We did. We can cheer up now. Shout out to Kristen from North Carolina. People in the comments, where are you watching this? Where are you watching this? I'd love to know. As well, and this is a big shout out. Big shout out to Joe Wall. Shut up his critics. As you know, Joe's always gonna have critics when he plays bad. People go from left, right, and centre. And I think remember that Matthew Matt, that block he did first half.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Talk to me about it, man. It's like he deserved credit for that.
I've always had a lot of time for Joe. I was thinking this morning, you think back to the beginning of last season before Cooper came in, if you'd said Joe, Brennan and Yatesy would be as sort of established as Premier League players now, at this point, 3 of our homegrown players, you wouldn't believe it. You'd be taking some kind of crazy drugs. People are talking about Brennan. Then he's torn up the Championship and he's established himself now in the Premier League. He's started to he's doing stuff. I think Wazza's been fantastic. Yates has obviously had his injuries, but they've all they look like Premier League players now. And you would have had your doubt. You wouldn't have believed it. You would have had your doubts that any of them might have done it. And even after promotion. I think Joe's had a fantastic season. He's had a hard time. He's been in and out of the team. He's been playing right back. He's been coming on after 5 minutes, coming on 4-5 minutes, all over the place. Personally, I think he's been handled very sort of badly, incorrectly, and he should have played a lot more. And I thought he's been outstanding in his last few appearances, and on Saturday I thought he was exceptionally good. He was so calm and composed. He's like Franz Beckenbauer. You couldn't have played any better, really. I mean, he has his critics. He's had some brickbats from people, and he's totally unwarranted. Defenders are going to make mistakes. Teams are going to score goals against you. It's the Premier League. It's going to happen. We'd be top of the league. It happens to Man City. So you're expecting too much. And the same for Yatesy. They've all developed, and they're all now decent players. And if we were to get relegated, there'd be a lot of Premier League teams that would be after those guys now. Taking over the bones. 2
things on that, actually. It's obvious that during the course of last week, before the Southampton game, that he was training a lot on that right hand side. In the first half, he was looking to get on that right hand side, overlapping Aurier and others around that corner, actually trying to make a real good going forward. My highlight for him, other than the Sterling tackle, was about 7 minutes to go. It was really, really stressful time. Dore couldn't watch it, I don't think, could you? Really difficult. And the ball pinged over and was surrounded by Chelsea players. He just took it to his chest and cleared it. And everyone's like, quality. When everybody else is swinging feet through it, half clearing it, it's just took that time. I know exactly what I'm doing and played it out. Absolutely fantastic. And that's what we need from Joe.
Look, it's hard for all of them to acclimatise to this league. We have very few players that have ever played a game in the Premier League. So it's been scary. And I think at the other end of the pitch, Loddie's hardly made a cross, has he? We got that goal from it. But I imagine when we signed him, he's going to be chucking multiple crosses in every game and so forth. We haven't chucked the ball in. It seems like we've overthought it. We've been too anxious the whole season. I've just got that feeling. And I think now when push has come to shove, we've had more time. They look like they belong now, and they're doing things with instinct. Danilo, Mangala have come to the fore. Gibbs White on and off. I think he played poorly at the weekend and owes us a couple of good performances to see off the season. And if we get them, we'll be more than happy. But they all have made contributions. Like you say, winning or losing as a team, you can honestly say everyone's contributed, and it's all started to look right and make sense to me, anyway.
We've got to talk about him. Awoniyi, Steve. The guy he scored 2 against Southampton, he scored 2 against Chelsea, and me, Glenn, witnessed him. He was bullying the centre backs. But people comment, how do you feel about Awoniyi? He's getting better and better, like with Danilo. But Awoniyi, we've missed that kind of strike, haven't we, Steve? That's what we needed. A good number 9.
I said, Ben, when he got injured against Southampton away, and I was coming on the show, I said in every show we're missing Taiwo up front. Yes, he hasn't. He's not clinical. No, we are fine how he can be, but we just missed that physicality up front. We had Johnson, Gibbs-White, and throw another name at me who was up front. I know Wood. We've tried different combinations. Scarpa's tried in them positions. We just lacked any physicality. He scares the life out of defenders. He's such a unit. Yeah, he's such a unit. He is huge. He looks like pure muscle. Just he looks scared. I would hate to play against him because he looks like he just run through you. Yeah. And we definitely have missed him. I've seen a few comments online. People are saying we could have been mid-table now if he was fit. On hindsight, we could have been. But can I just say about Worrell as well? Worrell was absolutely outstanding yesterday. Outstanding. Coming through the TV. I know you could pick up different things watching live, but watching on TV, if any other defender did that in the Premier League, match of the day would have been all over it. Match of the day didn't comment nothing, no praise. The guy was absolute class. And Glenn, that bit you just picked out with the chest and the clearance, even the commentator said that was class because he could have easily panicked. He could have rushed the ball. He could have swiped someone's foot, mistimed it. The guy was outstanding. But Taiwo, the other end of the pitch, he bullied Silva. Silva didn't want to know. And the other centre-half, the youngster, was panicking on the ball. He just didn't have a clue what he was doing. And Chelsea had such a poor press. I've never seen such a poor... They didn't press us at all. Like they did nothing. And Taiwo had a field day. I couldn't believe how easy I did. Because Silva's a good... at the City ground, he was their best player. Yeah, he was their best player. But yesterday, Taiwo just absolutely frightened him. And Lampard wound me up, right? He said that it was a lump in the an awful lump into the area for the first goal. It was a first-time cross. It's the best time to whip that ball in.
Who said that?
Yeah, he said if you watch it back, he said it was just a hit and hope, basically, a lump in the box.
That's football. I mean, Go on, Matt. I was going to say, look, both the goals was all about the delivery, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mangala, second goal, quick. Yeah. He didn't take a touch.
It was perfect.
If Lodi had taken an extra touch for that cross, the defenders would have set up and Mendy would have hung back. By whipping that ball in first time, the defenders like, whoa, didn't expect it. The best time to whip that ball in was first time.
I mean, Taiwo really couldn't miss them, could he, in a way? I mean, look, he had to be there, but he could have been a lamppost. They still would have gone in. The ball's in, but what made it? He just had to just do his bit. They were right there.
Mangala, he kind of caressed it in. He didn't lash at it. He kind of side-footed it, just went over the top. And Taiwo was a good header, actually. He's underestimating how good that header was because he headed it down.
Yes.
Because if he headed it straight, Mendy probably would have caught it or parried it. But by heading it down, it bounced.
And the two against Southampton, they were really clever balls through, and we haven't really done that. You think of the whole rest of the season, how many through balls have we played? The whole year, very, very, very few. Yeah. Half the time because we don't have someone to play them to.
Yeah, Matt, he's that guy up front. We've just absolutely missed him. Like I hope he can stay fit next year, and we see what he can really bring to the table.
He's not a high skill kind of player, but there's not a team in the Premier League that would relish playing against him. He's going to cause you problems, and you're not going to. Well, you're going to know what kind of. It's going to be a physical presence, and and all the other players are going to feed off him. So he's a handful, isn't he? It's a brilliant player to have. And even if we would go out and sign a couple more new strikers that offer something different, he's got his own thing, and he does it really, really well.
It's clear the work they're doing with him by getting him backing into players and turning off them really is making strides now. I know they're bullying him. He got a really jolt in the back, didn't he? He was down for just probably 10 minutes before he eventually went off for Jono. But that sort of thing, drawing fouls, picking up headers. I think from what he was saying at the end, and I know Cooper mentioned it in his post-match, it seems to have exercised a bit of a demon that from the miss at Anfield, the headed miss at Anfield that he then has gone on to obviously score 4 in 2. I think we're only going to see the best of Taiwo as a result of that goal, those 2 goals in the last 2 games.
He missed an header at Brentford as well, and Cooper mentioned that on Match of the Day last night.
Pardon, sorry, it was the Brentford game, yeah.
The Brentford, they've been working on it. So I think as well, Dalilo's helped him as well, because if you notice at Taiwo now, he's starting to do little 1-2s.
Yeah.
Touch and go. Like before, he would have held it and tried and take a man on and follow his own feet. Because prior to his injury, I thought that was a little bit, he reminded me of like an Antonio of old, you know, falling over his feet and big lump. But now he's trying them little 1-2s with Gibbs White and Dalilo. So Dalilo that guy is bringing a lot to that team in that area of the pitch, going unnoticed.
I think he's good when the ball is kind of dead as well. You know what I mean? When the ball's sort of just bouncing around, he will make something out of it and knock it off, lay it off.
Because in the second half,
like Keenan Davis.
There was a punt upfield, and it was just a bounce, and Taiwo just got in between the ball and the player, made it awkward for the defender, and he just won a free kick, which we didn't have before. We had nothing to carry us up the pitch.
I'm just going for the comments as well. I've got the man, the legend, Dave Asprey. We know he talked a lot, but he said a long essay on this. How you doing, Dave? Mark of Taiwan progress is how hopefully made defenders of the status of Thiago Silva so many occasions. There's more dimension to his game, 100%. I'm bang on, Dave, with that. Dave's on tomorrow as well, so I'll see what I'm doing tomorrow. So, as well, this is from Jojo. We're talking about Taiwan. Imagine if he was fit all season. I think we would be higher in the league. I think Uzi, was it you? Who mentioned that would be higher at the table? Was it you, Matt?
Yeah. I think we all think he'd be higher. Would be higher in the league. Well, I mean, we haven't really played with a striker, have we? And even when he was playing before, he was playing more on the left than anything. And we've had a funny sort of season, I think, sort of tactically in general. But yeah, I think now we're starting to have a pattern of play that suits us with the personnel we've got.
Glenn, Steve Cooper's management skills, like I said, game management as well. It worked in the first half, didn't it? But I don't know. I've had that little 10-minute spell for Brentford again. But what was your opinion on his game management, Glenn?
Yeah. I think it's difficult, isn't it, when unforced errors have such a significant impact on the game just at the worst time. And then Forest of old, dare I say it, Forest of old, where we concede 2 in such short succession, it's a little bit of a gut punch. I think based on where we were and where the subs were warming up, it was clear that they were trying lots of opportunities to every single one that was potentially on with the exception of we didn't see much, and Froyle I didn't see at all warming up, and obviously Hennessy. But the others were warming up, just looking at the options that they had based on how the game was working out. I think from what I've heard from the post-match, that they were looking to bring Brennan on earlier, but they were hoping that T would get a third goal if they've still got the opportunities to get the hat-trick and press for the third. Then they were trying to look for that rather than making a change at that time. I don't know whether the Silva elbow in the back at sort of 75 odd minutes made a big difference or not, and perhaps changed the way that the subs were done. But the subs were done I think it was made at the right time. I think we obviously changed Yates, who is coming back to what we hoped he would become, but it's still very clear he's not fit for more than probably 70 minutes, and hopefully by the Palace game he'll be fit for the whole lot, and obviously it'll take some time to get back in. I think that Czech Kayate change was a sensible one, and obviously bringing who was the second change? Sam and
Toffolo. No, Toffolo.
Sam and Toffolo and
who was Toffolo.
Toffolo came on for Danilo.
Kayate came on, didn't he?
Kayate came on for Yates.
Yeah. So making those changes at that time, I think they were really sensible
Brennan.
moves, good choices, Brennan, and at the right time to make an impact on. It's always difficult, isn't it? You know, I've managed teams like other people who occasionally work on here, and it's sort of chat on here, and it's really difficult decision to make whether you don't sit for the draw, but you also hedge your bets a little bit to a certain extent to see whether you're going to get anything more out of the game, but also cover and support those that have been working their butt off. Mangala at the end, who knows what that pass through, Steve? You probably saw it a little bit clearer than we did. It looked like a bit of a lazy pass and not quite the impact and the weight of the pass that he was looking for Brennan. Otherwise, perhaps earlier on in the game, it may well have made a bigger difference, and we might actually have gone past them Brennan one-on-one. Who knows? But I think that in terms of answering your question, Dor, I think the timing of the substitutions had an impact on the result. Fantastic, positive. Let's carry on with that.
Yeah. Do you think we brought? Do you think that's one of the comments? Do you think we brought Johnson on late? Too late?
I do.
But the game dictated when you brought them on, and I don't think you could make the substitutions. We were all saying Johnson 60th minute, 65th at the latest. But the way it was going, you're saying, no, you don't want to change it now. You don't want to change it now. You can't change it now. It's working. So I personally think the game dictated the substitutions. The substitutions didn't really work. I didn't think any of them. I mean, Johnson made no impact. And it wasn't his fault. It was just the game had changed by then. Hardly any of them. Kiyate, you barely saw. Toffs, did a little bit, but they all did a little bit. They didn't do badly, but I didn't think they made any positive impact. And going back to the thing, when I had managed the team, the under-9s, we had our B strikers, and we brought them on at half-time. They all knew they were coming on, and they usually performed better than the ones in the first half, who were my first two, and we won every game. So that's one for next year for Mr. Cooper to think about, and having his second string strikers on half each. They're all happy. You get 4 happy kids, and you win the league. So I
thought Toffolo, the decision to bring Toffolo was sensible because Lodi was getting a run on that right hand side.
I personally think
and add an extra buffer in midfield on that left hand side because Lodi.
They weren't positive. They weren't positive though. They were game management substitutions, weren't they? Really? Yeah. And I mean, we all hoped when you saw the team, you thought, Brennan's come on. That's going to win us the game or whatever. And in the end, the way the game played out, it didn't work out like that at all. And it wasn't really his fault. It was just the way things went,
I personally thought Toffolo come on because I don't know if you remember, Glenn, or people in the chat, Danilo had a booking and then he made a silly foul. That's why
he looked like he was struggling as well, though. When he went,
he was struggling. So that's why.
And you don't want him. You don't want him out now, do you? With all these things, you got to be careful. And with Brennan and everything, I think that must have played into it as well. Not. He's played too much this year,
And also Chelsea's right hand side, Chalobah and the guy who came on. But he went off. Ziyech came on. That right-hand side was causing us problems, and Lodi looked knackered again. He looks knackered every game.
He couldn't get just tight enough, could he? They were picking balls over for fun.
Yeah. So
Mangala, he's hardly been able to complete a game. Taiwo barely can complete a half, really. He did well yesterday, and he seems to be getting stronger. Yatesy, we've mentioned a lot of our players, and Serge is definitely carrying an injury, isn't he? He's not 100%. So we got 3 or 4 walking wounded, just like we did at the end of last season with our forwards when we were going to Wembley and we couldn't get them fit, barely get them out of the sick bed. So, I think a lot of it is keeping everyone fit, trying to sort of patch things up and get over the line in one piece again at the other end of the league for this time.
People, if you can do massive favour, please do hit the like button if you can. Like I said, we're going to go half an hour to do. Still, let's go back to the midfield because Yates, Danilo, and Mangala. That's the midfield three. People in the comments that it's getting positive because I think was it Southampton had the same 3, and now we had it against Chelsea. But that from that and season, that is our midfield 3, innit? Without doubt.
Yeah, I would say so now. I think so. I know, like Matt just said, Mangala, does he really look 90 minutes fit? But I think he was at fault. Now, isn't he? He's getting there now. He was at fault for the first goal, unfortunately. He didn't track the runner. So you unfortunately have to pin on him, really. But yeah, that's got to be midfield. Like I touched on Danilo, that kid is going to be some player. He just looks class. Something about him. Yates, like Glenn said, you can start seeing now the Ryan Yates coming back. it's just if these boys, if them three can give us 80 minutes, because Dalilo was a weird one. He seemed to pull up. I don't know if it was the same injury as the Brentford one. He seemed a bit something pulled, so hopefully he'll be fit now for Saturday. But yeah, it's just his energy. Ryan Yates is just grafting, and Mangala's kind of calmness on the ball. Mangala's very calm on the ball, to be fair to him. He can be in tight space and get out of it. The only issue with Mangala I got is, I might seem like I'm picking him out of the three, but he always seems to be like a loose pass in him, in Mangala, when I watch him. I'm just waiting, but then again, I can't criticise too much because he set up the second goal. So
yeah,
it's the blend, isn't it? Though I think if you could have a Colback or a Freuler or something who won't misplace a pass, but you won't get anything at the other end, will you? So I think he's a brilliant player because he offers both ends of the pitch. He offers something interesting.
But we've had such a big. I know there's been highlighted the squad size and this and that, and the players and yada yada yada. But the combination of players, we've used 32 players. That's not a settled team, so you can't blame like the Mangalas, the back line, and what would be our perfect back five? At the beginning of the season, it's nothing like it is now. Is Niakhaté, Worrell, and Felipe our best back three? Does anyone know? Maybe it is. I personally, I love McKenna. He's my favorite player, but he would be in maybe instead of Niakhaté. But then you take Niakhaté out and you lose his long throw-ins. Yeah. So it's kind of it's opinion and choice. But who's the best three, and then who's best up top?
Let's put it in the comments. People in the comments, who would be your back three? It's a good session, Steve.
I think they're all good. I think Felipe obviously has been sensational. I didn't think we needed him, but he's been unbelievably good.
But think about it, Aurier, right? If Nico hadn't got injured, Nico was playing so well. Aurier wouldn't have been in the first team now because Nico was hitting his stride, and then he broke his jaw.
I think it depends whether you're playing with a 3 or a 4. I think if you're playing with a 3, yes. If you're playing with a 4, I think you need the defender. Yeah.
Correct.
But someone mentioned in the comments about Worrell, right? Let's just say one quick thing about Worrell. Someone said about Felipe helping him. If you remember back seasons ago, Dawson, when we had Michael Dawson with Worrell, Dawson carried Worrell, and Felipe's doing the same with Worrell now. I think he's guiding him. And that experience.
I don't know. I don't know whether I don't think they can share a word. I think Felipe's brilliant, but I don't know. I don't think he's carrying him. I think he's doing all right. I think anyone playing with Felipe. Anyone playing with Felipe, you're lucky to be playing with him. I think he's an incredible player, but I don't think he's giving him much advice because he can hardly speak English. And I know Joe can't speak Spanish, that's for sure. So I think if we're relying on that, we're in deep trouble.
Yeah. It was clear yesterday that they're both.
I forgot about Willy Bolly as well. Sorry.
Yeah, Bolly's.
It was clear yesterday that they're both communicating really well between them. There were times when Niakhaté was hanging a little bit deeper and Joe was really pushing him up, just trying to get into that mid press. And then they're all communicating well enough to be able to get the message across, even if it's hand signals and the odd point and grunt and whatever.
Did you see Joe in the middle? He was going like this to Danilo, trying to say like 3 channels like this, and he kept doing it. It was like he was baking bread or something. I don't know what he was doing.
Oh, dude, crackers. That's a big level to the game, and I say all the people in chat as well. But again, before we scored the first goal, if not some vlog, I said Chelsea was shocking, and when I saw the teams, I thought we're gonna beat these. I said 1-1, but after that, I thought we're gonna beat these. How shocked? How poor, Glenn? Tell me how poor was Chelsea first half? They were, like I said, I spoke. It teased me off. Like, sorry, let's step it there, Glenn. After the game, I was more cheesed off that we got a point. I thought we could have got 3 points. That's how I'm not gonna swear, but cheesed off about it. What's you cheesed off, Glenn? After the game, right? 2 points are dropped. But a point, you can't compare that point, can you?
Yeah, like I said, no, you can't complain about a point. It's really critical, especially when 25 minutes before we scored, we'd seen Leeds nick a point downstairs where we're having a pie and a pint before we went up onto our seats. No, you've got to say that the point is absolutely valuable, but when you go to Brentford and see us, make errors and lose 2 points. That they were there for the taking yesterday. They were the first half. They were the most relaxed, casual. They're still a team of world-class players. So don't get me wrong. They were passing the ball around crisply. They just didn't have that much. They weren't bothered. They really didn't look like they wanted to compete 50-50s. They weren't getting involved. But they were really just not. Now, obviously, going around these Premier League grounds for the first time in all these years, and I didn't, to be honest, unfortunately, because I was at university when they were last in the Premier League. I wasn't in a position to either afford or have the position to go around them. So I was really, really interested to see. We've talked about this at length, haven't we? Coming out of Wembley nearly a year ago, a couple of weeks to go before the 29th of May 2022 is the anniversary of us getting into the Premier League. Going, really want to see Chelsea play against us and see how we get on. Now, obviously, if it wasn't for that ball coming off the bar, Sterling wouldn't have got that goal when we played them at our place. And going to their place, thinking we can really, based on the poor form of recent weeks, we can really give them a good game. And we were talking to you, weren't we? And Desdor, saying that they were really not the team that we thought that we would be playing against. From what I've heard, and certainly from what Frank was saying at half time to them, G'd them up a little bit, made them work a little bit harder, and showed them what we could do. And they came out that second half and they played a lot better. But from what they were playing, there's probably a fan YouTube channel rating their players just as we're about to do in a few 10 or 15 minutes time, no doubt giving them 5s and 6s, because that's all they were good. That was all they were good enough for.
Apart from the nothing goals to play for, though. Really, what do you kind of expect?
Equally for what they've put together, I'd have expected them to come and give us a good go.
But I don't know what they're trying to do. What they should be trying to do is play some of their signings, figure things out for next season rather than just going through the motions. And it's a waste of time. It reminds me of when we had.
We don't know how many of their players are going to be in the squad next season. They do.
No, but the guys that they've bought, who they're planning to keep, and those guys, you might as well play them. There's no point playing Silva if you're not going to keep him next year or whatever, whoever it is. But the whole thing is the whole season's been the same, hasn't it? It's been from our point of view, it's been a shambles. Trying to make the best of it, making some progress here, and lots of little errors. If we could have just done the simple things like score penalties, stay in walls, not defend so deep. It seems like every time there's a chance, everyone in the team just goes to run and stand in the goal rather than run and block the ball. We've had a load of wonder goals against us, and we've scored very few wonder goals ourselves, and we just haven't put the ball in the box. I think the mindset, the culture shock of getting into the Premier League has been what's been our sort of downfall repeatedly the whole season. From the staff, the players, even the fans. I think the whole thing has been a painful birth going back into the Premier League. That's been the story of the season for me, and hopefully it's not fatal and we stay up, as hopefully it's looking like we will. But it's been classic. We've had these minutes here, minutes there, poor game management, silly mistakes. We've been our own worst enemy. And if we'd just been competent in some of those areas, we could be comfortable, top half of the league. I really think.
Before we get ratings and man of the match from everyone, if you can do a massive favour for me, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And at the top of the link, and I keep mentioning, there's a Nottingham Forest away top from the defibrillators grassroots football. It only costs £1. All the money goes to get a defibrillator from your local football team. So all you gotta do is click on the link, and it costs £1. Pick a number, and the money goes to charity. People in the comments, who's your man of the match and what was your play ratings? And I'll get the panel in as well. Let me start with you, Steve. Who's your man of the match and what was your team rating?
Taiwo obviously scored the 2 goals, but I got to give it to Worrell. Outstanding. I know I hate picking defenders because it sounds like we're on the defensive, but no, it's just he had to do his moments, like the Sterling block, the clearance off the chest, like we mentioned. But his overall performance, he was just outstanding. I was so happy for him as well because, like we said on this channel, he gets so much slating, and nothing against Felipe, right? But if Worrell had done what Felipe done for that Sterling goal, Worrell would have been absolutely slammed. You know, because at the end of the day, Felipe did dive in. He overran the ball. He did. And he did do a mistake. He'll probably hold his hand up and it was a mistake. I seen it. It was clear as day what he did. I do it myself in football. I dive in as well. And it happens. So, for me, Worrell didn't put a step wrong. Taiwo obviously get applauded as well for the 2 goals. So, Worrell, man of the match for me. Overall rating. First half, I'd give it a good 8 or 9. Probably up there with the Brentford, probably better than Brentford away, I would say, in the first half.
It was.
We were very good yesterday in the first half, very good. And to answer your question earlier, Ben, were Chelsea bad and we were good? I think it was a bit of both. Because, like we said, what were Chelsea trying to do? They had no pattern of play. They weren't pressing. They did nothing. And we were outstanding. Second half, I would probably give a 7. So to average it out, I'd probably give a 7.5 out of 10. For the overall performance.
Not say that. Glenn,
fans 10 out of 10.
Fans was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I say, it just Chelsea, I know you keep talking about their tourist club, blah blah blah, but it was embarrassing. Even the second goal, like they didn't really like.
But even the body language of the player, Sterling scored the first goal. He just went, yeah. And then the second goal, they did a little run to the corner, and he was just like, "Oh, we scored the second goal." It was nothing. It was like a library. It was terrible.
Chelsea fans, fix up. I don't care if you try. If there's any Chelsea fans on here, you try to banter me, you're boring, and
you can't defend that. You can't defend how bad the atmosphere was from them.
You know what? I don't like calling all that over rival channels, but I saw a Chelsea channel, and to be fair, he did give credit to Forest fans, but I saw some certain bit of Chelsea fans they were loud. And I thought, what bit was you watching? I didn't see any. Look, all I do is Chelsea. That's all I did. That's all I heard. Chelsea, boring. Who have I not met? Matt, have I told you who's your rating?
You told me. No, it was a funny game. I thought it was a funny game. I didn't think many players sort of stood out, and a lot of them. Sort of the game kind of passed them by and they did all right, but they didn't have the opportunity to have a kind of good game. Obviously, Awoniyi is the standout one for his goals, and especially at the end of the week with all 4 of them. But I'm going to have to be boring and say Joe again because I thought he was the difference. He was the guy that really held things together in the first half and the foundation that everything else was built on. So him, the team, I'd say, whatever you want to say, really, 7, 7.5, 8. I think really we've been quite good away from home, and we've stopped a lot, not for the whole season, but the last 4 or 5 away games, we've set up really well, and we've gone to places like Villa, where they're meant to be totally on fire, and they had no answer against us. We haven't done anything that positive necessarily, but Cooper's got his tactics right as far as sort of for the second time this season. I feel like kind of drawing things in and closing things down, and trying to sort of make us hard to beat. So yeah, like I say, I'm gonna have to say Joe. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I think he's been pretty brilliant the whole season. He's only given away a couple of penalties. One of them was a bit dubious. One silly mistake. That's pretty good. I'd like to look at all the centre halves in the league, and there's probably very few that can say the same. It's a difficult league. Crap happens. Dunk, who's an established centre half in the Premier League, he did more work wrong than Joe's done in the one game against us. So just keep some context, and just because we got him for no money and he hasn't won any European Cups or anything like this just yet, he's still a good player, and he looked a good player this weekend.
100%. Glenn, have I done you, Glenn?
No. You were going to, and then you went to Matt. So no, you
haven't.
Give me more time to think about it.
Go on, Glenn.
Try and do something different. It's hard. But
I've got to say, Taiwo, had he not scored, we would, but not on the pitch. I think we might have gone away with less than points, if that makes sense. No, I've got to agree. I think 8.5 in the first half looked really confident and comfortable. Possibly as a result of Chelsea, the way they came out and set up. They let us play and gave us space. And over the space of the second half, I think with the exception of the 2 errors and the fatigue that was kicking in, which probably is the same for most teams, I think it's dropped down to about, so I'd say now 8 over the space of it. And Joe Worrell, very worthy for me.
What's your rating?
8 over the space of the 2 halves.
Okay, wicked. Okay. I think it's a full house. I think I've got to say Joe Warren as well. Because we all know he's been giving so much criticism and that. And spot on what Steve said, if that was Joe that did what Flippy did, he would have got absolutely destroyed for that. And yeah, he's still young. He's first time in the Premier League. We know Flippy, he's got experience. He's done it in the Spanish League as well. But for me, Joe, man of the match for me.
Felipe's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
Moose's, yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. He's been brilliant, but he did that, and that's what happens. That's what defenders have to do. That's the game, isn't it? He has to decide whether he slides in and does a brilliant block or whether he stands up and potentially has it stuck in the near post. Niakate does his traditional backward slice of the ball every first touch in a game, doesn't he? And he does wacky things. I like him. I think he's a brilliant player, but I think he was brought back way too soon and he's done some crazy stuff. And if you just read the comments on social media, you'd think he was God's gift to defending. Joe Worrell, quite the opposite. The facts contradict that completely. Although I think he's a good player and he will ease into it, but Joe's delivered on the pitch.
Can I just say one thing to Niakate as well? If Niakate's knee was an inch longer and got that second goal, right, in the back post.
Yeah.
Right?
That's his classic goal, isn't it?
That's a goal. I go on record to say, if I was 2-0, I think we would have gone on and scored a third.
Of course we would. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, right? I look last night, right? I look back and I don't know if you lot can notice. If Philippe didn't touch it, it was going straight to Ryan Yates' head. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was going straight to Ryan Yates' head, but it was a little flick that it went over Yates, and if only, that's what if what's that. Right. But yeah, so all it is. Happy with the point. I think like Joe Wall was my match as well. Full house. Right.
Can I throw in a question? What do we think about next season? What would be ambitious for Forest for next season? What is our strategy for next season? Let's say we stay up. Let's be complacent and say we scrape up on goal difference, let's say. Let's make it totally fantasy league kind of stuff. We stay up on goal difference by some miracle. What do Forest do next season?
People in the comments. The man has spoken. Matt has spoken. Glenn, answer this one.
Oh, I've got to suggest that as Cooper we trust, we look 1 game ahead and not 3. But I'll play your game. If we are going to stay up and we stay up on goal difference, I've no idea who we're going to beat a 31 minus on.
No, I know that, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Don't try and make sense of it.
Okay. I'm not going to try and make sense of it. I'm going to try and make a sense statement out of a nonsensical argument. Okay. Who do we need? Is that what you're suggesting? What do we do? How do we set up? How many do we keep?
What's our strategy for next season?
It's clear, isn't it, that we're not playing the type of football that Cooper wants us to play. Yeah. And the argument that we will sit back at the moment and hit them on the break is the way we're playing right now because of the squad that we have available, the injuries we have, the players we don't have around, in that is the set solution for this series of games. I think the comments have been very sensible about if T wasn't injured, if if Lingard was on fire from game 1, all of these if, ats and buts, who knows how we would have played differently. We would have played a lot more expansive. We'd have played a lot more going forward. T would have T will next year have had the benefit of having a half year of really good form and the last, hopefully, fingers crossed, 5 games of the season where he's having goal involvements, if not goal scored. And that's the way forward in terms of that. Danilo, like you were saying, all of these coming off a season of playing in this sort of level, and the learning curve for these guys, you've got to remember, for the vast majority, is absolutely significant, isn't it? So the way we play next year is more of how we've played when we've played well, and less of sitting back and letting them soak into us. Although on the odd occasion, that's exactly the way that the opposition don't want us to play against them. But I don't think that's ultimately how we want to play for the 38 games of next season's tour.
Steve, do you want to answer Matt's question?
Yeah.
Answer it.
I think next year, obviously, hopefully, and I think we will stay up, but I think what I want to see is we need to carry this away from now, from probably the Liverpool game. Carry on to next season. We need to be a more competitive away, pick more points up away. Because remember one thing, even the better teams in this league haven't got a great away record. It's not Premiership is very hard to win away from home. You know, I don't care what anyone says. It does rely a lot on your home form to keep you in this league, which we've shown. But next year, I'd like to see us carry on with this away form, be more competitive, show a bit more like we have done, Liverpool and so on, Brentford in the first half, Chelsea, show that real fight, score more goals away from home. That's been pathetic this year.
Concede less.
Home form, how can you really change it? It's what's going to keep us up. You know, we've been outstanding at home. The fans are not going to change.
Massive game next day. Massive game against Arsenal.
Yeah, and Arsenal will not enjoy coming to our place on the weekend. They're not going to like that, because we are. I know the cliche to say that it's probably the right time to play them, but then it could be the worst time to play them, because they could either be really spare with a sore head now on Saturday, or they could just be deflated. Because, come on, I think Odegaard pretty much admitted early on Sky Sports that the title's over. So they kind of City not going to lose again this season. So the massive game, and I think do you know what? I think we're going to nick it Saturday.
I think we will.
It's the best time to play them, really, isn't it? I mean, you don't know how they're going to react to it, but it's not a bad time to play them.
Do you know why you think it's going to suit us? They got to come out. They have to come out, and that's going to leave gaps in behind. And us on the counter.
Well, we're going to sit back, aren't we?
Yeah,
we're going to sit back the same as always.
Because they're going to have 70% of the ball again. A Palace away last game. Hopefully, doesn't go to that game.
Oh, I want to be on the beach.
I tell you what,
that's the game that scares me most of the two.
That game scared me
was
so
on fire
much
yesterday.
The atmosphere in that game, because their fans can cause an atmosphere. But if we,
yes, you know what, their fan base are amazing. Fan base is amazing.
Think about it. If obviously they're safe. If we are safe going into that game, the atmosphere, there's going to be a party atmosphere in that ground. It's going to be bouncing. We don't want to be going there with nerves. That's going to be the worst thing, because they are playing with freedom, and their front three are on fire at the moment. That Eze boy he's a very good player. And I watched his goals last night. And
Steve, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
But
why are you
don't start bigging them up. Just leave it.
No,
leave
it's not that. It's not that. You're talking about Crystal Palace, because if we do mess up against Arsenal, it's going to the last game of the season. Monday, if you're watching, get me a defibrillator. I'll give you the whole £320 myself. I'll give you a defibrillator.
Borrow one before it gets sent out. Yeah. Take a couple down with you, one in each pocket. Yeah.
Do you think a point is enough on Saturday against Arsenal?
Should be, shouldn't it?
No.
Yeah, it should be. You want to win both the games. You want to win both the games.
No, the reason, because Arsenal messed up. Like I said, what Brighton people remember, we haven't beat Brighton. We've not lost to Brighton this season. Arsenal did, and they got nothing to play for. We have. I'm expecting to win. I don't care what anyone says, because like I said, Arsenal got nothing to play for. If we don't win,
we won't know that it's.
Anything can happen, can't it?
Anything. We won't know if it's enough.
Think about it
until 6:00 on the 28th of May.
It's actually bad the way the games are all spread out, though, isn't it? How we play, then someone else plays. and it's happening all the way through. So there's a lot of mind games and tactics and stuff.
Because I think if Liverpool spank Leicester tomorrow, Leicester are gone. Leicester are
You
gone.
hope, yeah.
Because they are not getting nothing at Newcastle on the weekend. I'm sorry.
No, hopefully not. But yeah,
I wouldn't think
it's
so.
It's one game of football, though, isn't it? Anything can happen. You just
because Liverpool are going to turn up, but they got some.
I just think don't jinx it. Never say they're not going to do it. Say they might. Just
like
don't
you said, in
go
football,
there.
anything can happen.
Yeah.
But we just got to back ourselves. But you always like to have a favour as well. That's my belief. You've got to.
You want it in your own hands. It's in our hands now, at least. That's the main.
But we got to remember we are playing Arsenal as well.
Answering my question, I'm a little bit worried about the director of football changing because directors of football like messing around with things, and I personally think
I know
it's a concern, isn't it? Let's say we've stayed up, Cooper's not safe. I'll tell you now, Cooper's not safe. He should be. That's the first thing.
Matt, he's not been safe since the first game of the season.
Of course not. No one's safe. But to be fair, the Greeks have been pretty patient with our managers, more patient than I would have been.
You had to. You had. No.
For the previous two, I'd have been less patient with the previous two, and more with the two before that. I'd have been more patient, and I'd definitely be patient with Cooper. Hopefully, long may it continue. But they've been patient. But even if we stay up, they haven't got to be crazy. Cooper stays. That's the first thing, despite having a new director of football. Second thing is Gary Brazil signs a new contract. You don't piss around with the best thing about the football club for the last 10 years. It might not happen. You don't do it, though. Third thing is, I think the tactics, we were meant to play the way we're playing because that's why we signed Taiwo. But yeah, I think all the players have had the learning curve this year. You stick with most of them. You need to buy 2 or 3. You need to buy two or 3. He wasn't vague. He wasn't much called anyway, was he? He was terrible. That was my hope that he was going to be the next John Robertson, and he wasn't. I can tell you. But we need to obviously buy a goalkeeper, don't we? Probably one of the ones we've got, maybe.
Even off.
No, don't go there.
It's fantastic evolution. You can't deny it.
But I think we need to buy like only 4 players or so, give or take. You could shuffle that. Less is more. Less is more.
If you do remember, I don't know if it's article. If we do stay up, he wants 5 top players.
That's it, maximum. That's what I would say. 5 who you would actually put in the team every week. I mean, look, there's going to be a goalkeeper. You could say Lottie's another one, and then you could
Omar Richards.
A strike. You're going to want a striker. Well, Omar Richards, whatever we've got him. They might shuffle around a few of the other players, but really the key guys, I think 4 to 5 good players, 2 of which we probably have already, sort of thing. A goalkeeper
to continue to strengthen that spine that we have.
Yes.
Currently, yeah.
You want another midfielder, a creative midfielder, perhaps, and you obviously want a different kind of striker to Taiwo. And what was the other thing? Tactics the same, but just do less. I think basically just do less. Less would be ambitious. Going crazy and starting again, changing all the coaches and all this kind of stuff. We've done a lot of that nonsense. Less will be more, but I fear that even if we stay up as we all hope, it could go crazy.
Can we?
I really hope.
Can we go up and sign? Sorry, Glenn.
Lodi signed permanently?
Yeah.
I would say so. The way it depends how much it is, though, doesn't it? You know, our big problem, financial fair play, is Chris Wood, Emmanuel Dennis, John Joe Shelby. Up to a point. You know why that? If you hadn't spent that money, you wouldn't have any problems. Oh, and the other thing is you keep all the good players. You never ever sell your good players. So you never sell Brennan, you never sell Gibbs White. You know, you don't sell people like Mangala.
They've all got a price.
But you basically do not sell them. You do not sell those. 5%. If we're going to move forward, you make it that you really do not sell them. You know, so that's what I would do. Fewer new signings, keep the people who definitely work, keep the manager, because the manager's had the hardest job in football ever, in the whole history of football, as far as I'm concerned. And I think he's done a remarkably good job, despite looking like he's been doing a bad job in the most difficult possible way. He hasn't made it easy for himself, I don't think, but he's done a fantastic job, regardless of where we finish. You've got to keep him, because he's got through that awful, terrible period where he could easily have got sacked. And the same for half the team. Half the team have had horrible times. They've struggled, but they're coming through it. You know, don't start again, for Christ's sake. We're starting to get it right. It's looking okay. Stick.
Can we sign? Can we just sign Ward-Prowse, because I'm still having nightmares? But
I like Ward-Prowse. I like Walker-Peters. I like Walker-Peters. I know.
Walker-Peters, the right back.
I like Bamford. He's helping us more at the moment than anyone, isn't he? Staying this league.
Agent Bamford.
Shout out to Just Joe. Me and Dave was watching him on YouTube in the pub, and he was going absolutely mental.
Do you know what? Be funny though in this league, right? Last game of the season, Richarlison scores the goal to send Leeds down and keep us up. Wouldn't that be weird?
Oh yeah.
It's just weird little scenarios like that, isn't it? And like Antonio now on the weekend playing against Leeds, all these little player, subplots. Yeah.
My personal wish is for Sam to score the goal that saves us this year. Being picked for only the first game of the season to start and to score the goal that keeps us up. That would be poetic for me, just on a personal note.
On a personal note, we know why. Matt. Shout out to Big Sam. Right, it's been a great show. Glenn, Steve, and Matt, thank you very much for coming on. Matt, like I said, I know Matt does his rough gallery. Any people to get any new stuff?
Pass on that subject at the moment. We live in interesting times. Let's just say that.
If anyone wants anything from Matt, message him on whatever.
It changes from week to week, doesn't it?
Week to week. If we win, Matt gets loads of stuff. So it's like on this channel, we win, everyone's here. But like I said, two things before we do go. Kevin Campbell is back tomorrow, 9:15 on my channel. So we'll talk about Forest season, talk about Arsenal, and yeah, the man himself, legend, is back tomorrow. So at 9:15, so watch out for that. And as well, top of the link, win a Forest weight up for football defibrillators, grassroots football on Mando, and it costs £1. You pick a number, and it only costs £1. And like I said, all the money goes for a new defibrillator for football.
How many did you buy though, Glenn, to win? What do you recommend? 20 quid's worth to win? What were the tactics there?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
20 quid's worth. That's what you recommend. So
I'm delighted that the organisation is now a registered charity. So
yes,
if you want to support them on a regular basis, the guys in the background, obviously Malcolm and Amanda, have done great work to get that off the ground. So fantastic.
Legend.
Yeah, 20 quid. I think 20 quid for what that is a cheap at half the price.
Tactically sound decision. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So people, if you do, if it's a massive help. Like Amanda just Glenn just said, she's been doing it for 4 years now, and she's officially one. So please, like I said, if you do want to win the Forest Top, click the link in the description, and it costs £1, and it helps a lot. Right, thank you, boys. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Matt.
On again.
Yeah, like I said, we drawn. We didn't lose to Chelsea away, so I'm happy, Larry. Tomorrow, like 9:15 with Kev, Dave, and Malcolm. That's at 9:15. So please watch out for that. Like I said, we talk about Forest-related stuff as well. What we've got Arsenal. So my stream is with Curtis on Friday, 9 o'clock. So watch out for that. And as well, watch out for Arsenal Fan TV, because I'll be on that show as well. So that's going to be funny. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for everyone that's took the time to watch myself, Glenn, Steve, and Matt as well. So, and if you are rewatching this, anything you want to say, put in the comment description as well. Right, peace and love, and I'll see everyone tomorrow at 9:15. Thanks for watching. Walk the Forest.